This video on how to acquire the precious metals below wholesale and profit above retail is sponsored by Prosperity Mint. Prosperity Mint is a full-service precious metals dealership that you can find at www.prosperitymint.com or email info@prosperitymint. Prosperity Mint, where wealth is not determined by how much cash you have, but by how much resources you control.
Hi, I'm David, a member of Prosperity Mint. We at Prosperity Mint saw a great need to establish and reignite fundamental fiscal truths that I see as being quintessential to a conventional person's undeniable sovereignty, which is a tenable provision in reaffirming and recoursing one's wealth. The famed president of France, Charles de Gaulle, once said, "A monetary system based on a single nation's currency is a danger to the world." He went on to say, "The fact that many countries accept as principle the dollar as being as good as gold for payment of the differences existing for their advantage in the American balance of trade. This very fact leads America into getting into debt for free at the expense of other countries, at least in part with dollars that they are only allowed to emit. Considering the serious consequences a crisis would have under such a system, we think that measures must be taken in time to avoid it. We consider it necessary that international trade be established as it was before the great misfortunes of the world, on an indisputable monetary base, one that doesn't bear the mark of any particular country, which base, in truth, we can see how one could have no real standard criterion other than gold." Charles de Gaulle, February the 12th, 1965. I would have to say yes, President Charles de Gaulle's assessment was diplomatically appropriate, however morally a bait. This connivance finessed the very life-giving energy of every person it coerced into subjugation. Here's why. Generally, we give our valuable, intrinsic energy, which in itself is a priceless form of money, in exchange for an inanimate gadget with innate particulars who steal rather than share, rob instead of rendering aid, and destroys in a blissful lust absent of decent scrutiny. Slavery of all kinds are seated in the stealing of the fruits of one's labor for profit. How wealthy can one become who steals the outpouring of another? Essentially, the wage of a king or queen is silver. Every king and every queen is paid in silver. And the wage of a lady and a gentleman is gold. Every lady and every gentleman is paid in gold. And the wage of a slave is debt. Every slave is paid in debt. The only way a slave can become a king or a queen is through a clear educational consciousness of what prosperity is and how it is acquired. We have all been thoroughly trained or schooled to know the price of everything while knowing the value of nothing. This overall schooling disenfranchises us from what real wealth is and how to acquire and leave it as an inheritance for the generations that we have yet not named. Though Charles de Gaulle was correct for the country of France in repatriating their gold, and it was France that really started this overall global move to repatriate the gold from the United States. But is what is very important for us as the everyday people to understand is that gold has to be a part of our overall holdings. The precious metals have to be a part of our holdings in order for us to have the full value of our labor. Many countries have been repatriating their gold for the past 100 years, starting with France, then Venezuela, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Poland, Hungary, Austria, India, Mexico, Bangladesh, China, and on that list should be you and your family. And we at Prosperity Mint can show you a better way how for all the reasons of why. The intent of our classes at Prosperity Mint is to dispel those notions and to establish a path that's principled in the value that's within our reach. Who would benefit from the precious metals classes? That would be anyone that's never purchased or doesn't have any precious metals in their physical holdings, or a person that has started to accumulate and acquire precious metals. The classes will be mutually beneficial to them both, and I would say essential to them growing their wealth. In the classes, we will teach you how to acquire a quotient scale position and what a quotient scale position is. The second class will be the power of a quotient scale position. The third class will be the difference between currency and money. Most people think that they know the difference between currency and money, but we will give it a definition and take a look at its attributes that currency and money both share and what they don't have in common. The fourth class will be a historical look at the importance of precious metals that has played throughout history. The fifth class will take a historical look at the trend of being having a quotient scale position and what it could have benefited or profited you. Once again, I'm David of Prosperity Mint, and I'm looking forward to you taking the precious metals class and course and developing a true measure of prosperity for you and your family, because it is your birthright.